Nick Nurse came out and indicated OG Anunoby is dealing with an injury to his shooting hand, and he may have been injured by Gary Trent Jr., some fans have speculated. So a bunch of stuff to dive into on that front, as well as a Toronto Raptors trade update, Fred VanVleet taking accountability for recent losses, as well as Giannis Antetokounmpo calling out a former Toronto Raptor. So a bunch of stuff to dive into. Without further ado, let's jump straight into it. Hello everybody, Ben Rogers here with the Raptors Dive, just breaking down the latest Toronto Raptors news, and the first thing we're taking a look at is OG Anunoby getting injured on his shooting hand. Now, OG Anunoby has been our most consistent player this season when you factor in health as well as performance on the court. Pascal's been our best player, but OG has been our most consistent because he barely missed a game. The first game that he missed was the last one against the Orlando Magic, so I believe that was the first one. He hasn't missed any extended stretches this season, so that's a positive there for OG Anunoby. And on the court, he's been absolutely amazing on offense and on defense. But now, as said, he missed a game on Sunday, and the reports came out and said that he's due to a hip injury, a minor hip injury that should be day-to-day, shouldn't be anything too serious. But we also got word now coming from Nick Nurse that OG is also dealing with another injury at this point, which we don't really have a timeline on. We don't know how serious it is, but according to Nick Nurse, he revealed last night that OG Anunoby has been battling an injury to his shooting hand. And then Aaron Rose indicates that he's shooting 33% shooting from behind the three-point line, the lowest of his career. So we didn't get much details, didn't get much insider info in terms of how long he's been dealing with this, how it's been affecting his shooting, what we can expect from going over. Is this a reason that he was out in the most recent performance? But as Rose has brought up, his three-point shooting percentage has been down this season, especially as of late. And you know, it's not a good look. As a Toronto Raptors fan, you don't want to see your guy that's been your most consistent player go out with injury, especially where now he's dealing with a couple of nagging sort of things with the hip injury and now the hand injury. But to make matters worse, some people are speculating that Gary Trent Jr. may have been the guy to injure him. Now, it's not because, the star boy Gary Trent Jr. was moved to the bench. He wants to get back into the starting unit after he's been playing better. No, that's not the reason. That's not what's actually been going on. But there's a sort of clip that's been going around Raptors land from the Toronto Raptors-Lakers game that happened last week that Aaron Rose sort of puts it solid that people are speculating. You can see OG Anunoby shaking his hand after Gary Trent Jr. gives him what appears to be a ferocious high five. No idea if that's what caused the injury or if he had the injury before this timeline. And I'll pull up the video here now. You can see it. You know, Gary Trent Jr. slaps that hand. He's hyped up. He's given a little handshake there. If you missed it, I'll play it once more. Right, a hard handshake, and then OG Anunoby's clearly on his right hand, his shooting hand, flailing the wrist around, clearly a little bit uncomfortable. So, not the greatest look, for the Toronto Raptors teammates to be injuring each other, whether it was from a Gary Trent Jr. or not. Like if that was the incident that hurt OG Anunoby's hand, I'm not blaming Gary Trent Jr. He's trying to get his teammates hyped up, but hopefully OG Anunoby recovers quickly from this hand injury because we need him. If we're not going to end up tanking away this season. So that's OG Anunoby injury update. The next thing we're talking about is a Toronto Raptors trade update. Now, people have been following the vids recently. There's been a lot of rumors sort of perk up on the front of Toronto Raptors potentially making a move, some deals that could potentially be shaken down. And a recent article that was posted was from Bleacher Report, was from Eric Pincus, that indicated that there could be some fireworks by the Toronto Raptors if they are still a 500 team come, that January timeline when trade season really starts to pick up. So Eric Pincus is saying fireworks. The team could blow up. We could see some crazy moves occur. But, we had another reporter, George Schwartz of Bleacher Report, essentially come out and with his own article, Fact or Fiction, making sense of the latest NBA trade rumors. And Greg Schwartz, sorry, not George Schwartz, but he came out and he was putting some speculation to his fellow Bleacher Report reporter, in a Fact or Fiction, essentially breaking down the same reports we covered in a recent video. He thinks that they're a little bit of nonsense. He thinks it's not going to expect any explosions, as at the end of his article for Fact or Fiction, he's saying making some small moves to improve the roster around this core should be expected. But as for fireworks, unlikely. So Fact or Fiction, he's calling it fiction. There's no need to make moves out of desperation just yet. So look for sparklers instead of fireworks. Now, this was sort of my take in yesterday's video. I sort of said, I don't think we sell low on Fred VanVleet. It's probably not going to happen. Fred VanVleet's his value's the lowest it's been probably since if you can make trades during mid playoffs, his trade value is as low as it's been to probably game 4 or game 2 of the NBA Conference Finals in the year that we won the NBA championship. So that doesn't make sense to trade Fred VanVleet now, no matter how much Toronto Raptors fans want to see it happen, want to see it done. But Gary Trent Jr. is a guy that's more realistically could be traded. His value isn't at an all-time low, while it's not where you sort of expect it to be. But I would consider him getting moved to be fireworks, to be something crazy. But again, I don't think it really makes sense. A lot of the packages that are getting thrown around to get rid of one of our best shooters. No matter what the percentages say this season, Gary Trent Jr. is one of our best shooters at a skill that the Toronto Raptors desperately need. So I'm not big on trading Gary Trent Jr. either, but I do think a move will be made. This team just looks too sloppy, too sluggish, not motivated, and people are speculating whether or not that's internal stuff. Has Nick Nurse lost the locker room? Is Fred VanVleet really leading this team, galvanizing the troops? All these question marks are serious concerns, especially as it becomes more of a pattern for this Raptors team. So I think a move will be made just to shake things up. I mean, I booked it. Right, if you've been watching the pods yesterday or last podcast, last news video we made, I locked it in. I booked it. The Toronto Raptors are going to make a deal. They're going to have a deal to go down. Right now, I have 2 major predictions so far on the season. The Raptors will be a top 3 seed, and a trade will be made come the NBA trade line, despite the Toronto Raptors not usually making moves at that time of year. So those are my predictions, and if you guys are as confident in those as you are in your predictions around the NBA, you guys can use the CoolBet app. The link is down below in the description. It's the best sportsbook to use across Canada. You get some great lines, and if you sign up and let myself or Josh Goodwin know, Josh Goody, people know him on the live streams, but if you let us know, you'll be added to our Cool Betters Discord chat where you can get custom lines. You can get those boosted odds, you can get game recaps, and have some input into the bets or predictions we make and throw on streams. So definitely use the app down below. Let us know if you sign up, and you'll also be entered for any giveaways we have in the coming weeks. We just recently gave away tickets to the Raptors-Lakers game, so definitely sign up for Cool. It means the world to us. It helps us out big time, and it's free. So if you want to support the channel, definitely sign up. It takes like 30 seconds. So appreciate everyone that does that. But we have more news to sort of dive into. And the next thing we're taking a look at is Fred VanVleet taking accountability for recent losses. And Fred VanVleet obviously has been designated the leader of this Raptor squad. He was an all-star last season, had put up some great numbers, especially in the first half of last year, but he's taken some serious heat from Raptors fans, given his poor efficiency in recent games and recent weeks, and even throughout this entire season in general. And the Toronto Raptors have been losing. Fred VanVleet, he's not pushing away accountability. He's not talking down on any other players, as he came out following the Raptors' most recent loss, saying that we all have to be better, starting with myself. If I've played better in these stretches, we probably win some of these games. I'm always going to take accountability for that. So that's what he said after the second loss to the Orlando Magic. And Fred VanVleet, I'm happy to see him because sometimes he can sort of deflect. He can sort of blame things on younger players. It's something a lot of NBA veterans do. So the fact that he knows that he has to be better, he has to improve. He's had a couple quotes like this in recent weeks. I like his mentality. I like his perspective on it. I've always liked Fred VanVleet's mentality going to the game. I think whether or not he'll become more efficient shooting inside, because that's something he's always struggled out throughout his career. But the fact that he's ready to go, trying to grow his game, become more locked in, and saying the right things to the media, I'm confident that at least his shooting will come back to form at some point. And it's why I'm of the belief the Raptors shouldn't trade him right now, because his value would be at an all-time lowest. So that's my take on Fred VanVleet. I'm happy he's taking accountability there. And the final thing we're talking about is Giannis Antetokounmpo calling out a former Toronto Raptor. Now, Giannis is he's a meme guy. He's always joking. He's always coming out and still always a little bit salty about that 2019 season where the Raptors won the chip and the Toronto Raptors smoked the Milwaukee Bucks out of the playoffs after them being up 2-0. And a guy on that Raptors team is now his teammate down there in the Milwaukee Bucks. And he's recently on How Hungry Are You? Giannis was. And he went viral for Serge went viral for asking Giannis if he would one day play for the Toronto Raptors, and that was a hard-hitting question. Giannis ended up saying no, but once again, Serge Ibaka had a Bucks teammate on his video on How Hungry Are You? It's Drew Holiday, I believe, and they ended up FaceTiming Giannis on there, and he got called out. Serge Ibaka was essentially called out by Giannis on that front, where essentially he said, with Drew Holiday, Giannis joins to express his love for Ibaka. get that stuff out of here, man. I don't want to drink that stuff. They're talking about crickets. You know, people aren't familiar with Serge Ibaka's show. He gets people to eat just wild foods, but he didn't want to eat whatever Serge Ibaka was serving up. And then came out and said, "You're not an artist. You're not an artist. You're not a chef. You are a role player and a rebounder and a screen setter. That's what you are. Bye." So, you know, getting put on task. Turmoil in Milwaukee, beef brewing between Raptors secret agent Serge Ibaka. Is he messing up the locker room? Obviously not. It's all jokes. Giannis is a guy, but I thought it was a fun little quote that they had on the How Hungry Are You episode. And Serge Ibaka is building up that relationship with Giannis, because what is it now? 2027, 2028. Giannis is coming home to the North. That's my take there. But you guys are the best to make this far. Subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. Again, sign up for CoolBet. If you made it this far in the video, you enjoying the videos, you want to support us, definitely sign up. It's free to use. But anyways, you guys are the best. I'm signing out. Cheers.